Welcome student in our engineering virtual classroom. Today I am going to discuss 8th lecture on engineering mechanics. Today my topic is inertia tensor along with parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem. Now what is this inertia? Means mass moment of inertia that already have explained. I want to remind you that the moment of inertia that is depends on mass as well as the distance. It is necessary to find out the angular motion. Now in case of angular motion, it is very important about which the body is rotating, and here moment of inertia equals to mass into distance. This distance is measured from the axis from which around which the rigid body is rotating. So it is absolutely depends on the axis. Now if the body is rotating about x, y or z axis, we are getting different moment of inertia for the same rigid body. Along with, if the body is neither rotating x, y or z axis, rather any third axis, then inertia have the component in x, y and z direction. So that we are going to discuss in detail today. Let us consider a rigid body rotating about x axis. The angle of rotation is theta x. The same rigid body here rotating about y axis, angle of rotation theta y, and similarly this is for theta z, which is rotating about z axis. In all the cases it is a same rigid body, but only difference are that it is rotating about x, y and z axis respectively. Now by definition we can write down the angular velocity here when it is rotating about x axis is omega x. Then omega x equals to d theta x by dt. Similarly here it is omega y d theta y by dt and omega z equals to d theta z by dt respectively. So it is the case that the rigid body is rotating about a single axis x, y or z. Now if we are considering a rigid body which is rotating about an axis that is neither x, y or z, rather it is rotating about an arbitrary axis, n axis here, and angular speed is omega. Now let's consider a particle in the rigid body with mass small m, whereas the total mass of the rigid body is capital M. Now the radius vector of this point mass is r, and the angle of rotation is theta. It is rotating about this O point. Now we can write down that this theta is the summation of theta x, theta y and theta z. It is y and it is z. if total rotation is theta, and with respect to total angular displacement is theta, and with respect to x, y and z, the angular displacement is theta x, theta y and theta z. Now, so omega can be written as d theta by dt. That is equals to, use this equation, d theta x by dt. As the direction is along x, so we are considering the I is the unit vector along x, j is the unit vector along y, and k is the unit vector along z axis. Then from this equation we can write down this is equals to omega x, this is equals to omega y, this is equals to omega z. Or the angular velocity of this particle is the summation of all this angular velocity. And already I have told you the total mass m, capital M, is the summation of all this particle, means integration of L equals to 1 to n if n number of particles are there. Or we also can write down that m is equals to, the capital M is equals to integration of this m. And the position vector of this particle here r, the distance of this particle from x, y and z axis, if it is x, y and z, or the coordinate of this particle here is x, y, z, then we can write down r equals to xi, yj plus z. Now we are starting with the angular momentum of the rigid body. We know that angular momentum is the cross product of distance vector r, position vector r, and linear momentum, as we have explained in the last class. Now substitute the value of v here. We know that v equals to omega cross r. This is the cross product of omega and r. So finally, this moment equals to r cross m, r cross v means omega cross r. Here this m is the mass of the particle of the rigid body, and the summation of m indicates the total mass of the rigid body. As omega r is the cross product, and we written that omega equals to omega xi, omega yj plus omega zk, and r equals to xi plus yj plus zk. So substitute here and go through the cross product, and we are getting this equation. Again, this is equals to omega r. Now this quantity r cross omega cross r, again it is the cross product of this r and this omega cross r. So again go through the cross product for the vector r, that is this, and vector omega cross r that we have derived here. So substitute here, then it is the determinant of ijk, xyz and this. And going through this determinant, we are getting this into I, this into j, and this into k. Now just simplify here. Y into y means y square into omega x. Again here you see z into z means z square into omega x. This is minus, minus minus plus. So we can write down, rearranging this, we can write down omega x into y square plus z square. And xy omega y minus x z omega z. Simply it is the rearrangement of this equation. We are writing this. So note it as it is the equation 1. Again, see here, H, capital H is the total angular momentum, summation of m into r cross omega cross r. Now, if r cross omega cross r is a vector, we can write down this vector, the unit vector along along x, y and z axis is j, then this equals to this plus this plus this. Now substitute this value, compare equation 1, here it is this is the equation for r cross omega cross r, and in this way we can write down this. So with unit vector r, this r cross omega cross r, this suffix x indicates that it is the x component only, and here I into this quantity, means this into this x component equals to this, and similarly the y component is this and z component is this. This is equation 3. Now substitute this value here. So A is equals to what? What is there? This summation of m r cross omega cross r, that is equals to x, y and z. This 3 component. So this is equals to H x. This is the angular momentum component in the x direction, means unit vector I. This other component y direction j and z. This is equation 4. So from here you can write down Hx equals to this, Hy equals to this, and Hz equals to this. These are the 3 components of angular momentum. So substituting the values of r cross omega cross r from equation 3 in equation 5, we are getting Hx equals to this equals to this, and similarly Hy equals to this and Hz equals to this after simplification. Now let us introduce some terms here. This summation of m into x square y square plus z square equals to Ixx, and this quantity equals to Iyy, and this is equals to Izz. Means if this x and y, then it is Izz. Here x and z is there, so it is Iyy, because y is not there. Omega y is there, but in position coordinate y is not there, then it is the y coordinate. And Ixy, that quantity we are supposed to write Ixy, this quantity Iyz as xz, and so on. Now if we substitute this value in this equation, this terminologies in this equation, then we are getting Hx equals to Ixx omega x plus Ixy omega y, Ixz omega z, and so on. You notice that. So we have 3 different component of angular momentum, Hx, Hy and Hz. Now let's consider the rigid body is rotating about only z axis. Means it is rotating about z axis means direction of the omega is along z axis or unit vector is k. So omega z k. The value of omega x is 0. Value of omega y is also 0 because it is rotating about z axis. So there is no component in x and y direction. There is no angular velocity component in x and y direction. Only angular velocity component along z direction as it is only rotating about single axis z. Then substitute this value here. Then you see hz, that is this quantity is 0. This is also 0 at omega x and omega y 0. So finally we are getting izz into omega z. That is equals to, from this equation, that is equals to summation of m x square plus y square omega z. But though omega x and omega y 0, so here this quantity and this quantity 0, but this is not 0. It indicates that though x and y component of angular velocity is absent, still angular momentum has an x component. This. And similarly, it also has an y component, IYZ, omega z. So what is our conclusion? Our conclusion is that though the rigid body is rotating about z axis only, means angular velocity have z component only, but the angular momentum have all these three components. This is important to notice. Means angular momentum effect of z-axis rotation also have the angular component of momentum in y and x and y direction also. Okay. Now that equation again can be written as like this in general, where I equals to this quantity and omega equals to this quantity. So that equation 8 can be rewritten in matrix form like this. Then these I, which is the matrix of, which is the 3 into 3 matrix, is known as inertia matrix. It is known as the inertia matrix, and this matrix is called the inertia tensor. So what is tensor? To represent, to differentiate all this quantity or 9 component of I, we have to use 2 subscript x, x, xy, xz, means at a time 2 subscription is required. Notice that in case of a vector, say here the vector is omega. In case of omega, to represent omega vector, we need omega x, omega y and omega z. Means only one subscript, either x, y or z is required. But here, to represent a inertia, 2 subscript is required. Then this is called, and that's why this is called the tensor. By the definition of tensor, it is said that if the subscription is 0, then it is called 0 order tensor. In case of scalar quantity, there is no x, y or z component. So let's consider it as the mass. No direction is there. So mass means if it is m, then it is only m. No mx, my and mz. Means in the subscript, nothing needs to use. So it is zero order tensor. Whereas in the vector, say omega, omega x, omega y, omega z, this three quantity is required. Three quantity means only one subscript, either x, y or z. So this is called the one order tensor. But this inertia tensor, here two subscript is there. So this is called the second order tensor. So in general, a scalar, a vector, all is tensor. But generally, scalar and tensor, scalar is zero order tensor, vector is the one order tensor. But generally, scalar and vector is not termed as tensors. They are only termed as scalar and vectors. But the tensor with order more than 1 means 2, 3, whatever is more than 2, more than or equal to 2, then it is called the tensor. So this inertia matrix is a second order tensor. Now in this tensor, this second order tensor, you see this IXX, IYY, IZZ, it is called the diagonal element. Diagonal element. This is known as moment of inertia. Whereas this XY, XZ, YX, all this is called the product of inertia. So here three mass moment of inertia is there, moment of inertia is there, three quantity means diagonal quantities, moment of inertia, and rest 6 is the product of inertia. And point should be noted that in product of inertia, Iyx and Ixx is equal, as similarly Ixz and Izx is equal. So out of all these 9 quantity, finally we can write down these as 6 quantity tensors. Now we are going to discuss the principal axis. So what is principal axis? Already you have studied. There are 9 components of the I, inertia tensor. Now we can get an axis of rotation so that this product of inertia xy, iyz and izx is equals to 0. So the value of ixy, yz, zx, ixx or means any component for any component. This depends on the axis. So you can choose a particular axis such that this component, product of inertia component is 0. For all the bodies, there is an axis, one or more axis, along which if the significance of this axis is that if the body, rigid body, rotates about that axis, then there is no product of inertia or product of inertia component is 0. There is some standard cases. So product of inertia, so finally our equation is I equals to this, and rest this is quantity was product of inertia which is equals to 0 along principal axis. Now let's consider some standard cases. A square, there is a principal axis along the diagonal and perpendicular to the diagonal. Let's consider the diagonal axis. If the significance is that if the rigid body rotates about this diagonal axis, then we can find that the product of inertia is 0. Only there exists the moment of inertia Ixx, Iyy and Izz, means z component of inertia only present here. Or if the body rotates about these axes, then also we are getting the same result, means this 3 component diagonal component is there and rest 6 is 0. That's why then these two axes is called the principal axis. For all the body there is principal axis. I repeat, if the body is rotating about an axis so that the product of inertia is 0, then that axis is termed as principal axis. And for all the bodies there is principal axis. And for square this is the principal axis. For rectangle it is these two axes along parallel to base and parallel to height, pass through the origin, pass through the center. For the cylinder it is along the height, means the axis, and to perpendicular direction, like this. For two-dimensional object there is two principal axes. For three-dimensional axis there is three principal axes. And for sphere these are three axes, and this is for the circle. So if the rigid body rotates about the principal axis, then our angular moment components are hx equals to Ixx into omega x, and the rest part is 0, means moment of inertia part is 0, and similarly this hy and hz. So in that case we can write down the h equals to hx I plus hy j plus hz k, or substitute this value. So we are getting this equation. This equation of angular moment holds good if the rigid body rotates about principal axis only. So in that case the rigid body is not rotating about an arbitrary axis, rather it is rotating about the principal axis. Now we are going to drive the perpendicular axis theorem. So what is that theorem? To find out the mass moment of inertia, let's consider it's a rigid body. As the moment of inertia is equals to r square dm, so it depends on mass as well as the distance from the origin or center about which the body is rotating. So in that case there is two formula, parallel and perpendicular axis theorem. Means if the body is rotating about one axis and we want to get the mass moment of inertia about another axis, then what's the relation between these two? Let's consider a point mass dm, elementary mass dm within the entire rigid body. The position vector of this is r. The distance of this dm mass from x, y and z axis is respectively x, y and z. Z, y and x. This is the x distance. Then the position vector can be written as rx, ry and rz. These are the three position vectors. Now by definition Ix is equals to it is rho x it is written, but same as it is r suffix x here. This r and rho is same thing. So r square x dm, r square y dm, r square z dm. Where r means r square x means y square into z square. This is the rx. That is vector component. So this is equals to y square plus z square root over, or rx square equals to y square plus z square. Again, I repeat, here x, y and z is the coordinate of this position, and rho x or rx, ry and rs, rz are the component of the position vector. Component of the position vector. Distance from x axis is rx, distance from z axis is rz, distance from y axis is ry. Then it forms a right angle triangle here, indicates rx equals to z square plus y square, and similarly ry equals to x square plus z square, and so on. So we are getting ix equals to this equals to this. Now in the parallel axis theorem, let's consider two axes is there. One axis is passing through the center G, and another is any point, any arbitrary point O. Now let's consider a particle on the rigid body P with a mass dm. Then what's the coordinate? The distance from G is y, distance from O is r. Then by definition, IXO means about these axes, if the body is rotating about these axes. Then r square dm, because r is the distance of the point into dm is the mass. So moment of inertia equals to r square dm. Again, if the body is rotating about these axes, this is called xz axis, x suffix z, as it is passing through the z point, center of gravity or centroid. If it is rotating about these axes, then we have to measure the distance from these axes. So this distance is y. So we should write down ix equals to y square dm. Both is considered in both the cases x0 and xz, both these axes is parallel to the plane of rotation. Is perpendicular to the plane of rotation. It's a laminar cross-sectional rigid body with area capital A. So y square dm and r square. Now we have to find out, our target is to find out the relation between these IXO and IXG. I repeat, IXO, if the body is rotating about XO axis, and IXG, if the body is rotating about IXG axis. We have to find out the relation. Okay, how we can find out the relation? See the triangle OPA, OPA. From here, OP square equals to AP square plus OA square by Pythagoras theorem. Now OP means what? R. So substitute R. OA. Let's consider here to here. The distance between these two parallel axes is y bar. And this distance from G to A is h. So O square equals to this square plus this square. So the, y bar square plus h square plus 2y bar h plus ap square. Okay, this is equation 12. Now again consider triangle GPA. GPA. For GPA, we can write down GP square. This equals to this square, AP square plus AG square. Again by Pythagoras theorem. Where GP is Y, AG is H, and this is AP square. So this is the equation 13. Now, in both the equation, AP square is there. So substitute these values here and omit AP. Then we are getting, this is the equation. R square equals to Y bar square to Y bar H into Y square. Now, use this equation Ixg. Already we have derived the value of R square. So substitute this value of R square here in equation 10 and we are getting this. So Y bar square dm plus 2y bar h dm plus y square dm. Now see, this y bar is a constant value because it is the if the distance between these two parallel axes is known to us. It is, if it is known, then y bar is constant. And again note that here these axis is passing through the centroid of the body and this any axis, and the distance of between these two axes is y bar. So here y bar is constant. So we are getting integration of y bar square means y bar square dm, and integration of dm means total mass, that is capital M. And again by definition here integration of y square dm means what? Ixg. So substitute these two value here and here. Then we need to know what is these values. What is about these values? To know these values, we need to understand the equation of how to find out the coordinate of centroid. Means if the body, rigid body of mass dm, then what is the coordinate? By definition, coordinate or y coordinate of the centroid is h dm by dA, integration dm. This is the equation of position of centroid. Now, hg means position of centroid. If the axis itself passing through the centroid, then what is the distance? Distance is 0. Means hg is 0. And as hg is 0, so again I repeat, here hg is the coordinate of centroid. Hg is the coordinate of centroid from the axis. Here axis is g axis in this equation, in this main equation. Coordinate of centroid is g. This is integration of h dm by dm. Then as hg is equals to 0, substitute hg equals to 0, then you are getting, and integration of dm is not equals to 0, so integration of h dm equals to 0. Now substitute these value, these and these in this equation. Then we are getting Ixo equals to Ixg, this part Ixg and this is equals to y bar square m, and this is equals to 0. So finally this is the equation. So this is the relation between these two equations, or this is also known as the parallaxis theorem. Means if this any of these value is known, say we know the value of Ixg, means we know the mass moment of inertia of the rigid body about centroidal axis. This is called the centroidal axis. As this axis is passing through the centroid G, so it is the centroidal axis. So if the mass moment of an inertia of the body, rigid body about the centroidal axis Ixg is known, and we also know the distance between these two parallel axes, that is y bar, and the total mass m, then we can get the mass moment of inertia value with respect to x-axis by this equation. To solve various numericals, this equation is very helpful. In the subsequent topics, we will take help of this equation to solve the numericals. So this is about x-axis. Now, if the similar equation we are getting an axis that is passing through G but not along x direction but along y direction, and another parallel axis and a O point we are considering here which is parallel to y, then we are getting similar equation. The difference is that here instead of y bar we are getting x bar. Why it is so? Because this is the x-axis, both the direction is along x. So distance between two x-axis parallel to x-axis is y in terms of y, and if the axis is passing through y in both the cases, this and this passing through the centroidal axis, centroid, and passing through O point, but both is parallel to y. Parallel to y means distance will be represented by x. So it is x bar. So IYO equals to IYG. So it is the moment of inertia of the rigid body about the centroidal axis, and this axis is parallel to y axis. And here also this is parallel to y axis but not passing through the centroid. Then the equation is this. These two equation is very helpful. Another important theorem is perpendicular axis theorem. So in the last example we have used that if two axes is parallel and with respect to one axis we know the mass moment of inertia, then with respect to another axis we can determine. The condition was that both the axes was parallel. But here if these two axis is not parallel, rather it is perpendicular. Let's consider here we know this Iz value, that is equals to integration of r square dm or summation of mr square Iz, and we need to know about x and y axis, that we have to calculate. Now with respect to x axis, the distance is from the origin, the distance is r of the body of a particle, the coordinate is xy. So for this particle, distance from x axis is y, distance from y axis is x, and distance from z axis is r. I repeat, distance of the particle or perpendicular distance of the particle from x axis it is y, from y axis it is x, and from z axis it is r. Now what's the relation? r square equals to x square plus y square. We know r square equals to x square plus y square. So in this equation substitute ix equals to, so as the distance is perpendicular distance from this axis is ix, and the body if rotating about the x axis, then ix equals to summation of m y square, and if it is rotating about y axis, the distance is x. So iy is equals to m x square, summation of m x square. Again, if the body is rotating about the z axis, which is the perpendicular to both x and y, then ij equals to summation of m r square. Now r square equals to x square plus y square. Break this, then summation of m x square plus summation of y square. This is equals to ix, and this is equals to iy. This is equals to iy, this is equals to ix. So finally ix plus iy. So in the perpendicular axis theorem, this I indicates here the ij. So ij equals to ix plus iy. Ij equals to ix plus iy. So this is the relation between the perpendicular axis. Point should be noted that here the plane of rotation is xy plane. So this equation is holds good if it is xy plane only. If it is rotating about xz, then iy equals to ix plus ij. As the body is rotating about ij, xy plane, so it is ix plus iy. The references that we have used to complete this video lecture is this.
Start karo.
So this is about mass moment of inertia, inertia tensor, and the necessary parallel axis and perpendicular axis theorem. In the next lecture, I am going to discuss the moment of inertia, mass moment of inertia of some common geometric rigid bodies in our 9th lecture. So thank you for attending this lecture and for your patience, and please follow the next lecture also. Thank you.